You hear those crows out there? Those crows will pick over the bones of anything, right? Caw, caw, caw. Now, the reality is that much of the modern media is out there delivering a message that they think people want to hear, crafting messages that they think people want to hear. And that's a problem. This is how we fall into these so-called echo chambers, where the truth becomes predicated upon a bunch of lies that you've already believed, or half-truths, mistruths, shaped narratives, that sort of thing, right? So to be interested in the truth today, the facts, is a sign of internet literacy. The truth is never afraid of questions. The truth welcomes questions, while lies deride the questioner, block the question, ignore the question, deny that the question exists. Now, good questions are always the best, and Tiger Man has a great question. He says up here, Peter, I'm skeptical. There's only a handful of those landing ships left. Might I ask what sources you got that info from? It's a great question, right? It's a great question. Now, Tiger Man, you're right to ask such a question. And I do want to put out a caveat here too about the information in the video. I am not completely certain that the small landing ships that were hit were part of that original number of 7 that I believe was in the Black Sea at the beginning of the war. Now, where I get that number from, I'm not sure, honestly, at this point. I've done a lot of reading over the last year, and I think I know things sometimes, and I'm not always right. So, if I remember my reading correctly, there were 7 landing ships in the Black Sea at the beginning of the war, 2 of which had been deemed not seaworthy. So effectively 5 at the time. But again, I'm not sure if that included these 2 small ones or if it only was the big ones. I can't remember the name of the last one that got hit. But if I'm not mistaken, over the course of the counteroffensive and last spring, there were a total of 5 landing ships hit in the Black Sea. And the source for that would be the Ukrainian MOD mostly. Then verified with telegrams footage and, other third-party sources. Reliable sources like Reuters, AP. It would have been reported in lots of places like that. So 5 hit. 5 hit, 2 not seaworthy. That's a total of 7. That's the total number that was in the Black Sea at the beginning of the war. Then this I remember distinctly, because this was the crystal moment when I knew the war was going to happen. And so it's burned in my mind. It was February 8th of 2022. In Naval News, Naval News reported the transit of 6 Rapucha class, if I'm not mistaken, they were all Rapucha class, landing ships. So the bigger ones. Couldn't have been these 2 small ones. These 2 small ones would have had to have been there before part of the original 7. And that same day, a Kilo-class submarine came through. Now, that's February 8th, 2022, Naval News. You can find it, plus a bunch of other places, including the Turkish Authority for the Bosphorus and Dardanelles transit logs, which are published. So you can see the Russians moved the 6 Rapucha-class landing ships through the Straits of the Dardanelles, and it was reported on February 8th, 2022. That same day, they moved a Kilo-class submarine through. I forget which one. I don't think it was the Rostov-on-Don that was destroyed in the shipyard attack. I think it was one of the 2 that are over in Novosibirsk right now. Okay, so, dude, Great question, right? Exactly the question that you should ask. And you know what? I'm a little fuzzy on the original number of 7. Why don't you, if you have a minute, or if somebody else out there does, do a little reading and see if you can't confirm my number or correct me. And we'll all be better off for it. And I appreciate it. I noticed, Tiger Man, you were skeptical on the question of Bogdan's return. I assure you, I am skeptical on that as well. If I were the kind of person that prayed, I would be praying. I am the kind of person that tries to remain hopeful, so I am hopeful. And we should all try to be until we get some resolution there. So great question, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And by all means, if I've made a mistake, let's fix it.